Headed to the NBC Tower. WLS with Steve Cochran and Jane.
Oh, bare naked ladies? Well, let's go north of the border. Why not?
Sure.
Tragically hip? Sure.
You were the band.
Yeah. I'm tragically adored.
Yeah. Hey. Was that you calling me?
That was Toby.
So, producer?
Yes. What up? Cool.
But don't you think music is so much more accessible? Your grandkids now are able to listen to everything. Like, oh yeah, that's my favorite band. Like, how is that your favorite band?
I don't know how anybody gets discovered anymore. It's a needle in a haystack, right?
MySpace.
Well, my daughter Ava, who's going to be 11, she goes, I said, hey, sweetie, what are you listening to? Because she was really getting into it. She's like, Dua Lipa. I said,
I love Dua Lipa.
I said, what? She goes, yeah, Dua Lipa. So I put in one of her earbuds. Now I'm a fan.
She's tremendous.
Yeah.
She's a great stage presence. She's not, look, she to me is the new Madonna.
Dua Lipa?
No, Dua Lipa.
I've always been an outsider. Like,
It's okay. I feel like I'm an outsider too. Today I feel like I'm an insider because I'm with Steve.
That's right.
Typically,
no headphones.
I'm on
You
the outside
don't
looking.
need me to have headphones, right?
No, but you cool taking calls?
Pardon?
You want to answer questions?
If you want to, I would love to.
All right, so we'll get you
You have
headphones for that.
Uh,
But I probably need 2 segments. So you just need to stay with me.
what, okay, cool. Yeah, others won't do that.
By the way, it's not just Rob that's sitting in for Nick today. I only have had 3 shows prior to today. Producer Tom is off.
yes.
Assistant Miranda is off. I mean, there's people going, I had 3 days. I got enough of that guy.
What happened?
But Joey's
those 3
here.
days?
Joey's getting it done. And if you're not listening to Q101 on Saturday nights to hear Joey's show, you're missing it. He's tremendous. And I'm at Shaq this morning. The world famous Shaq. Not the Shaq basketball player, the WLS Shaq.
A Shack, not the Shack.
Yeah. So thank you guys for being here. Of course, Michael doing a great job as always. So I'm going to ask our next guest to stick around for a second segment if you guys want to talk to him, because he wants to be the senator, the next senator from the great state of Illinois. And you guys need to know who to vote for, because I know you're all going to show up and vote next Tuesday. So Matt Dubiel has agreed to stick around if we get some texts and phone calls in here as well. So you can call now, but we're going to need to get Matt some headphones, Joey, when you get a second. Anyway, Matt, how are you?
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to be here with a new guy.
Yeah, that's right. And I still
And a
got
new gal.
And I still have that new guy smell. Yes,
I've heard.
I mean, that's just not something hanging in the air.
No, it's the new guy smell.
Oh, thanks.
You've done a nice job of making fun of your name and how many different ways people have tried to pronounce it. So give it to it straight. Matt
Dubiel.
Dubiel, not Dubiel.
Dubiel.
You know what? It's fun the way that you say it. You could go back and listen to tape of me over the years on the home movies, and
Right.
I'll say it 7 different ways too.
But Matt Dubiel.
How does the family say it?
Dubiel.
Dubiel.
Yeah.
Dubiel.
But my in-laws will say it a little off. Because,
Right, they don't know.
The in-laws, they don't know much better.
And you've
They
only
don't
been
say
married for
that.
20 plus, They don't know if it's going to last. 4 kids?
4 of them. I got a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old that just graduated high school, a 15-year-old, and a little 10-year-old that, brings everything together.
And I think Jane, you'll agree with this. You're a good-looking dude with a nice head of hair. What do you want? Why
Great
would
hair.
you want to get into politics?
It is probably one of the dumbest things. This will go down in history as one of the dumbest things I've ever done, and most expensive.
Well, you're a successful guy. You got a nice thing going. I'm glad that you want to be a part of the solution. If in fact that the people choose you. But have you gotten into this and went, what the hell was I thinking?
No, I thought before I got into it, I got to do this. We have to do something. So this all started when my wife and I sued Governor Pritzker so my kids could go to school without masks after the COVID stuff had sort of dissipated.
This is when DeVore was involved, right?
Yes,
This is
yes.
a guy who wants to be attorney general, by the way. We'll
Yeah.
talk about him too.
Yeah.
And won that initial ruling Or was it a loss in a way? Anyway, it went favorably after a couple of different court visits.
The net result for regular people that didn't understand what was going on, I mean, we tried a medical exemption, we tried a religious exemption, and then we got in on this lawsuit, and the end result was the kids, my 2 kids out of 4,000 kids at the school, were the only 2 mask-free in the beginning, and then it spread like wildfire, and now none of them are wearing masks.
Now, here's the deal. I understand your want to do that. Here's where I come down on this. The message on masking was very poorly done from the get-go. Masking was never perfect, and it never should have been presented as this will protect you to this level, including the N95s. But better than nothing. So how did you make that work in your head that your kids weren't going to wear them? I get the freedom thing, but what about protecting your kids?
The kids are protected. I mean, they have tremendous immune systems. Their immune systems are better than mine and yours, and their immune systems are really powerful. So to suppress their immune system and then have them, I mean, what you saw was these kids started getting maskne and other problems and breathing problems from wearing the masks. So by the time that we were trying to get these masks off the kids, it was already pretty apparent that there wasn't any surge of COVID among the kids, except for the fact that we were mandated to have testing and quarantining and contact tracing. And it became like we were living under the Third Reich, and it was draconian in all those ways. And so if kids and parents are concerned about their kids' health, then the kids and the parents can wear a mask, but mandating it from government top down. And when you follow the money and you look at the ESSER funds and the SHIELD test from Governor Pritzker, you find out there were incentives and there were reasons why it was being done, and that's wrong.
Well, the other part of it, though, is what's I got grandpa, I got grandma, I got somebody in the family that's got a compromised immune system. My kid could be healthy, get it, and bring it home. What do you say about that?
Well, you do have some multi-generational families, maybe in our area, a lot of Asian families that live together like that. Sure. So that would make sense for them. They should make that decision. JB doesn't have the information to make that decision.
Freedom to wear it or not wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's how America works.
Let's talk about education for a second. How do you feel about the education as it stands in Illinois right now?
It's been a disaster, and that's another reason why I got into this race. I mean, Matt Dubiel running for United States Senate is about my children and the CRT happening in their schools. During COVID, during online learning, Natalie had to write a paper about George Floyd, and they only let her use ABC and CNN as the sources for the paper. And that kind of stuff has been seeping in for the last decade. It's just reached a fever pitch recently. Then she gets back to in-person learning. The first thing they do on the first day of in-person learning with their masks on is they go around the room and they're supposed to say what their pronouns are. That kind of indoctrination and that kind of wokeism has no place in our schools. And the school choice should be a thing for parents. The money should follow the school. It shouldn't just be wealthy families or rich families that can afford to do that. We've been driving Stella 30 minutes every morning, back and forth, and then back and forth in the afternoon to take her to a private school in Aurora so that she didn't have to go through that stuff.
All right, let's talk about gas prices. What are you doing there?
Oh, my gosh. I was thinking about that on the way in.
Limited impact in the United States Senate, especially for a new senator, but you have to be a part of the solution, not the problem. So when you go in, what do you want to find out that you don't know because you're not a senator yet?
Oh, gosh, I'm sure there's a lot. Remember when footlongs were $5? Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just a couple years before COVID. Ultimately, what the American people need to understand about inflation is the government and the media, they need inflation to happen because our dollar isn't backed by gold or silver anymore. So this is a petrodollar thing. They printed ridiculous amounts of money. Congress and Senate, Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin, signed bills they didn't read. Tammy didn't show up half the time. And then when they did, they sent money overseas. And when you print that much money, you got to get it inflated because it's based off of gas. And that's how our economy works now. We got to fix that.
I get that. But let's be honest now. The money came in because we were in the position we were in with COVID, overdone by Trump's folks. Now, I support what the Treasury Department did at that point by flooding that money in. The problem was nobody created a clawback system. Harvard, Cornell, they were getting checks. And there needed to be a way to understand that the right people were getting the help they needed. Because I'll be honest with you, and I'd love you to find this out for me. I don't know what people are living on. I don't know why we have all these jobs open and not enough people to fill them. How are people paying their bills? How are they buying gas? I don't
Entitlements, and the government's printing money and sending it out to everyone. Do you know how many people, how much fraud there is in the PPP system and the EIDL system? That money, did you see about the prisoners?
That's the thing you have to fix without being a Republican. You got to fix that regardless.
We all have to fix it.
But that's what I'm saying. You're going for a position that is not a Republican senator. You'll be interested in a Republican senator, but the thing I want people to understand is the president of the United States is not the Democrat president of the United States.
100%.
He's the president of the United States. There's only 2 senators in Illinois, and the problem is Duckworth too often has been the Democrat senator and not the senator for Illinois, which I assume is why you want to be the next one and replace her.
Well, they both are. That's the problem is, and as you mentioned on my way in, you were talking about this Democratic regime in Illinois and around the country. And when that happens, that's what the Senate is for. The Senate is supposed to represent the other side of things and be stability over a 6-year term, as the fashion of every 2 years, the Congress come in and out, and every 4 years, the executive branch comes in and out.
Right.
So the Senate's supposed to be a rock. We have 2 lockstep, very woke senators that tweet about things like abortion and big pharma. They never say, here's what the people of Illinois want to D.C. They're bringing that agenda back to us, and it's got to stop.
And it goes to the way the map is drawn as well, because the politicians pick the voters don't pick the politicians. We need fair maps. We need all of that, because one party rule does not work. It just doesn't.
Well, I used to think the problem in Illinois was the Democrat Party. I've learned as a citizen running for office, it's the Illinois GOP and the Democrat Party. It's a uniparty, and they are all screwed up in their priorities. That's why we need regular people running for office.
And that's why we need more people showing up next week.
June 28th. A lot of people don't even know there's an election, and it will probably not be a huge turnout because it's the Tuesday before Independence Day. During maybe one of the biggest Independence Days we've had in 3 years.
No excuse. You got to vote. You got to vote.
I'm voting.
Yeah, if you're 18 or over.
I'm voting for Matt Dubiel, by the way.
Not Dubiel?
Him too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, either one could work.
Either one.
Jane, you brought up a great point a moment ago, is that you like Matt's preparation and he's actually answering questions.
It's a real conversation. It's not staged. You're not rehearsed. You're just talking. That's just sitting here watching you guys talk is like...
Well, that's the kind of thing that could cut through with voters that all need to show up next week. Rob, jump in.
Yeah, just, we know that you're running against Tammy Duckworth, but ostensibly you'll be running against Dick Durbin as well. How do you see this race shaping up? What kind of battle do you see in front of you?
The GOP thinks it's, an impossible battle. In fact, that's why the Illinois GOP and others have not even gotten behind me. So I talk about Dick Durbin a lot, and really this is a referendum on Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth. Dick is up for re-election in 2 years. We have 2 senators. A lot of people don't know this, and there's a lot of elections going on, state, local, whatever. 2 senators in Illinois. These 2 are 99% lockstep with each other. They even did a joint press release a couple weeks ago. So they almost share a brain. So just talking about common sense American things is really just what goes against everything they stand for. I don't see them at the school board meetings.
Let me get the texters in here as well. Got a texter. It was actually social. Said, Steve, I heard you and Jane talking about being afraid to come downtown. I am. What is Matt going to do about law and order? And again, a United States senator has limited impact over what can happen in the city of Chicago, but you control bills where money comes from, and the House approves it or doesn't approve it. Law and order, where are you? Yeah,
so my mom is a retired police officer. My best friend is a Chicago cop, and that doesn't mean anything except to say that I love cops and I love law and order. My wife and I wanted to retire down here, but now we have to go with our second choice, which is Beirut, because it's safer. So,
Beirut's lovely.
It is. Fallujah's nice this time of year.
Right neighborhoods.
Yeah. So Chicago's this great city. It's a beautiful area. We have to let cops do their jobs. We have to have leadership. We have to have somebody standing aside from the people that are saying this is okay. So the mayor's saying it's okay. The governor stands next to her. Then Dick and Duck stand next to them and say, yeah. And they all nod their heads like a bunch of bobbleheads. We need somebody else that says, wait. This is not cool. We have to let the cops do their jobs. We have to actually prosecute bad guys and girls. And we cannot have the punishment be an ankle bracelet and weekends off. That's greater freedom that most of us had during COVID.
No, it can't be the case. It can't be the case. It's not a social experiment. It is a crime, and a crime is committed, and somebody needs to pay for that crime. We have a justice system. It's not perfect. There are people in jails who shouldn't be. We ought to be able to do both.
Yep.
Figure out who shouldn't be in jail and keep the criminals in jail.
That's right.
And frankly, that's the only way we survive all of this. Rob, I'm going to go to you for a follow-up to test whether or not you're paying attention.
Yes.
Yes is your follow-up?
No. You know what? For people who don't know you, Matt, what do you do? How'd you make your money? What, and again, I'm just going to follow up. Steve asked you this off the top. I mean, this is insane what you're doing. With all due respect, doing this would indicate to me maybe a screw loose because you open up yourself to a whole lot.
Yeah, my son said the same thing about the other actual politicians running as politicians. He said these people that all have, because we meet these people behind the scenes. So the thing is somebody that has their screws intact needs to get involved, and somebody from the perspective of parents has to get involved. So I've been in radio since I was 17 years old. I started as an intern for Steve Dahl in 1995. I used to drive down the same stretch I drove down, and 4 a.m. and get Steve Diet Cokes for God knows how long. You say make your money like I have a bunch of money. That's not the case, but I'm paying for this myself. And if I don't, we're going to pay for it later. It's kind of like your health. You got to take care of your health now because you're either going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later. So I'd rather pay for it now. And everybody that I know that I run into, other parents, my kids, my family, they get it because they see what's happening to our country. Somebody's got to get involved. And Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth sure aren't. And the rest of these GOP candidates on this primary certainly aren't the ones that do it.
January 6th, your thoughts on January 6th. Polls show today 60% think Trump ought to be charged with a crime. Before we get to that, the hearings, you can certainly argue that they're partisan, but there was an absolute riot in the Capitol. What do we do with that? Because, again, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, you need to be prosecuted.
Yeah, we have Capitol Police. We have a judicial system. We need to let that happen. We shouldn't be hiring the producer of, Good Morning America or some epic TV production to try and make a trial to put it on television. And now Adam Kinzinger is tweeting out about death threats in order to get people to watch the show. That's what this is that's a show.
No, I get that. But in Kinzinger's defense, I have no doubt he's gotten death threats.
I have no doubt that anybody has gotten death threats.
There are nuts who take this stuff far too seriously, which is how we got to January 6th.
But you know what? When they talk about January 6th, what they don't talk about is the summer of destruction before that. Where are the trials for that? Where are the trials for the mayors that took a knee? Where are the trials for the hearings for these governors that stood by and did nothing?
Then, any crimes committed there should also be prosecuted.
They're not even talking about them.
One doesn't negate the other.
No, but they're not talking about them. One is on television. One is the question that all candidates are asked. What about January 6th? Nobody asked about December 22nd when Antifa was storming Washington, D.C. and demolishing things. Nobody.
Well, let's get both done. How about that?
I agree.
Election, are you concerned about the security of the vote?
Yeah, election should be a day. You were there the day you got the tattoo. You were there the day you gave birth. Elections should be on a day. It should be a paper ballot. You should have to show an ID. That's not radical. That's just common sense.
And the state agencies that control these elections set them up in a manner that befits them. Democrats in Illinois have had it their way for a long time. The map is a joke. And all of that needs to be fixed. Gerrymandering should be a guy that lives down the street, not a way to determine who you get to vote for.
He's a good guy, that guy.
You know gerrymandering?
Yes, we had a PAPS together a couple weeks ago. The other thing that's important for people to note is that we need poll watchers and election judges. And until people wake up to that, you can't sit back afterward and be like, yeah, they should have done this. You got to get involved. And another great way to ensure election integrity is to vote and get your friends to vote and text your friends about the people that you love.
Show up.
I like this candidate. Vote for him. He's great. Or check him out.
Show up. The campaign website is what?
It is Dubielforsenate.com. Dubielforsenate.com. I'll do you one better. I give out my text number. So if anybody didn't get a question in, you want to text me a question. It's not automated. It's me. It may take me a while. 312-847-1987. It's the Chicago area code, a suburban area code. And the last year things were normal in Illinois. 312-847-1987.
I'm going to text you right now. I got a couple follow-ups.
A guy living for the 80s when things were different.
Totally.
Matt Dubiel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Good luck next week.
MattDubiel.com. I grew up in Illinois. One of my best memories is listening to the radio on the way to go fishing in Braidwood with my dad. Today, I'm a dad, and I work in radio. I met my wife Michelle here in Woodridge at a restaurant we both worked at, and now we have 4 kids of our own. and we take them that same ride down I-55 to go fishing. There's one big thing that changes when we grow up and have kids: priorities. The country we grew up in was patriotic. The playbook for the American dream was clear. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, follow the golden rule, get a job, buy a house, get married, and raise a family. But it hasn't quite worked out that way. Today, criminals are the ones who are rewarded instead of achievers. Our college graduates are working as baristas, while our trades can't find enough qualified workers. Our children are taught critical race theory and early alt-sex ed while being told 2 + 2 = 5. Our government is printing and spending money, resulting in massive inflation. And the internet, which was supposed to liberate people with information, is instead being used to track and silence Americans. The truth is, America has the wrong priorities. It's up to us to get America back on track again. Because we're up against a media that lies to us, schools that teach our kids to hate themselves and our country, and corporations that have gotten so wealthy and powerful, they think they're in charge. It's time to put America first, protect our children, support parents, restore law, order, and common sense, and secure our border once and for all. Instead of pretending we can somehow fix the rest of the world, we've got to get back to our Constitution and what it stands for: we the people. My name is Matt Dubiel. I'm running to represent Illinois in the United States Senate. Because if we want our kids and grandkids to know the joy of freedom in the USA, we need the right priorities. I hope you'll join me.